It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the 4 films released on October 9, 2009. There's only one big new release this weekend. That was the big wide release, and features a star-studded cast, and it's the directorial debut of Ralphie from A Christmas Story, so it's gotta be good, right? It's got Vince Vaughn, Jon Favreau, Jason Bateman, Kristen Bell, Kristen Davis, Malin Ackerman, Faison Love, John Reno. Clearly this has got to be a good movie, right? Right?
Are you telling me that after 7 years together, you still get aroused by the same woman?
I do.
How often do you do it?
Well, it's different now because we got the kids.
I peed.
Hi, hon.
How was your day?
Usual?
I want to speak to a manager. I'd like to complain about how hot the waitresses are here.
Yours?
Good. Trainer really blasted my glutes.
You are not buying some 20-year-old broad a motorcycle. And this girl makes you feel young again.
Bang, bang.
She's a kid. Buy her a Hello Kitty book.
Jason and I are seriously considering getting a divorce.
And that is why we are going to go here.
It's Disneyland for adults.
You guys are going to have a blast.
Actually, we have found a great group rate.
This looks like a screensaver.
They got fish that you can see through the floor.
Welcome to Eden, your itinerary.
A couple of skill building at 6 a.m. I think there's a misunderstanding here. We signed up for the fun stuff.
You either partake of the entire package or have none of it.
So we got to give a little bit of our day up to talk about feelings. How bad can it be?
My husband got caught in this shark situation.
It's time to get the gun and shoot some fish. I had shark teeth penetrate my skin.
That's it.
Maybe they're marking me for later. I don't know. Remove your mask. Where's their clothes on?
I don't have any drawers.
Undress!
Is his junk up?
Yep.
Now it's a party.
Oh, don't act like you still don't want to be there. You co-wrote the script with Jon Favreau. This is your problem that you created because you wrote the script for this, Vince. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with this movie. This is Couples Retreat, a movie where, as you see from the trailer, you have a story. You have all these 4 different couples. One played by Vince Vaughn and Malin Ackerman. The other played by Faison Love and Callie Hawk. The other played by Jon Favreau and Kristen Davis. And Jason Bateman and Kristen Bell are on the cusp of getting a divorce. So they decide to go to this retreat and invite all their friends, not letting them know that this is actually a retreat is a couples retreat where you go to these therapy sessions and you're supposed to do these things to improve your marriage or your relationship and all. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, these people have the most selfish, dickish friends possible, because you don't tell them that you're going to take them to this place to go have fun. No, you got to stay there and go on this retreat, and go on this couples retreat thing, which it'd be fine if the movie they were giving us was actually really good, but it really is not. I mean, yeah, this thing was a massive hit, but then again, there was literally nothing else opening wide that weekend, and you got a film with Vince Vaughn in the forefront where he was still a reliable box office draw, so yeah, of course people are going to go see this movie. But the biggest problem with this movie is simply that, what I just told you before. This all is happening because one couple wants to get a divorce, and so the basic idea is, hey, if we got to suffer through this, we're going to bring all of our friends with us to suffer along with us. And you get the feeling that this was originally supposed to be an R-rated movie, but they cut it down to a PG-13 so they could get the families in here, because clearly we want to see bickering couples and, gross and jokes involving, Faison Love taking off his clothes and wearing no underwear whatsoever. Like, I mean, there could be potential there for a good movie, but it just doesn't show up here, man. And this is a movie where everybody in here, it's not the cast's fault. I mean, the cast is doing the best job that they can overall, and it's just that there's nothing funny there to work with. I mean, it's one of those movies where if Adam Sandler was at the forefront of this, you would have heard a million people criticizing and bitching and moaning about the fact that, oh, well, Adam Sandler only did this movie so they can take his buddies on a vacation, which, yeah, use the same complaints against Vince Vaughn in this case, because that's literally what this movie feels like. It's just like, hey, we're going to go on this vacation, but we need to write a film along here so we can consider that part of the reason why we should let the studio give us all this money. And again, it's not the actors' fault. The actors are trying their best to make something happen here, but they're just not being handed good material. I mean, Vince Vaughn, Jon Favreau, you can kind of let it slide because he's proven that he's a good writer overall, and he's written a lot of good stuff. But Vince Vaughn, Like, Vince Vaughn, you can be a good actor. We've seen you in good movies. You can be funny, too, but I don't know what they were thinking when they wrote the script for this. It just, nothing about the script makes any sense whatsoever. Like, some of these two people that you really do not get attached to. The chemistry just isn't there with most of them. The only two that you really feel chemistry for is Vince Vaughn and Malin Ackerman. And that's because they have kids. And yeah, you can make the argument that, yeah, they have been, you can tell that they've been around long enough to know what to do, to know how to act like a couple in here. And you can make the argument that it works in that favor. But you don't buy Jon Favreau and Kristen Davis, nor do you really buy Jason Bateman or Kristen Bell. And Faison Love, which is good to see that he's getting a bigger role in a movie like this, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, I wish you'd give him something better to do than just having a 20-year-old girlfriend played by Callie Hawk. And when you see that, because the whole thing with him is that, you know, he just got through, he's going through a separation right now with a wife that he used to have, and you know, they haven't been officially divorced yet, so he's already dating somebody, more than likely meaning that he probably cheated on her, which I think the movie does later say that he did. But they meet up with her. They meet up is her and her is the ex played by Tasha Smith, and her and him meet up again is towards the end of the movie. When they get together, that's where that chemistry really is. You buy more of the chemistry between Faison Love and Tasha Smith more than you do with him and Callie Hawk. Not to say that Callie Hawk's a bad actress, but she's not really given much to do except to just be the 20-year-old young girlfriend to this older guy, being the sugar daddy to Faison Love's character. And it's just like, you never buy them as a couple overall. I don't know if that was the movie's intention to do it that way, but it just didn't feel like that couple was really meant to be together. Like you feel more of the chemistry between Tasha Smith and Faison Love when they're on screen together, rather than you do with Faison Love and Callie Hawk. And again, it's just, in the comedy overall, just doesn't work. Like, lame attempts at gross-out humor, or, you know, here's all these hot-looking guys that look at them take their clothes off. Look at the six-pack on the guy. Look, that guy looks like his penis is out. Like, it's just like, come on, man. Like, again, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it where it actually is funny. Don't waste our time with a movie that's nearly 2 hours long and just give us nothing, is everything that we've already seen done before in much better movies. Like, if you want to be honest, two people in this movie really do come out of this relatively unscathed and actually do become the stronger parts of the movie. And that's not even the main couples. It's two characters in particular. John Reno, who plays like the lead therapist and the guy who runs the resort. He's great, and he's great. He actually does give a very good comedic performance that's kind of outside of his norm. And Peter Serafinowicz, who I guess they were trying to set up as the next big British comedy star to come to the U.S. after Russell Brand. And for what he did, he was pretty good. He actually was really funny when he was on screen. Granted, he does have a little bit of a subplot that really doesn't go anywhere with Guitar Hero. It just felt like they added it in there because, hey, Guitar Hero is the big thing. I mean, look at how the year began. We had Paul Blart Mall Cop have a Guitar Hero subplot. If they could do it, why can't us? Yeah, do something funny with it. But what I think is the most hilarious thing about this movie is that this movie has no memorability to it, except for the fact that when posters for this came out, for this movie, you look at the poster here. You see all the couples there, and you notice the black couple, Faison Love and Callie Hawk, are in the back, or in the far back. But then there were posters where they actually removed the two from the international posters of the film, showing only six people, rather than the 8 cast members used for the U.S. promotional material. Now, this is not a new thing. This has been happening before, specifically with the Ghostbusters. Like, you know, anytime you see Ghostbusters, you usually just see Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Bill Murray. Very rarely do you see Ernie Hudson on any of the posters for the original Ghostbusters. But then on Ghostbusters 2, they added him on there because he's part of the original group. That continued all the way to the DVDs and the Blu-rays, but in this case, so it's not really that much of a big deal overall. It's something that you can honestly say that, yeah, that's something that you want to bring up in general, but it's not something that it's going to be so long lasting that you have to do everything you can to basically just keep letting it go out there. But I'm bringing this up because this thing came out in 2009. And the studio said it regretted causing offense and had abandoned plans to use the revised posters in other countries. So they basically just used the same poster that they did is here in the U.S. But then, 11 years later, Faison Love filed a lawsuit accusing Universal of race discrimination and whitewashing for continued use of the offending poster. And it's just kind of like, you know, I get it. I get why you could be upset about that, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, it's been 11 years, dude. I mean, it's just like, there's no reason for you to continue to, there's no reason for you to bring that up now, except for the fact that it was 2020, and, you know, we were doing the thing, everyone was trying to show that we're more supportive of black people and that type of stuff. I mean, it's not, I'm making it sound like that I'm against the whole thing. Well, I'm not at all. I'm just saying, like, it really felt like you were trying to do that because that was the big thing that was happening around that time, besides COVID, and, you know, after what happened with George Floyd. But, you know, I mean, if you had done this maybe a couple years after the movie, or even the movie a year after the movie came out, then maybe I could have bought into it. But this is 11 years later, and really, nobody had cared about this movie after that. Like, this thing came and went. It was a hit when it came out, but it was long forgotten as soon as it came out. Like, you barely hear anybody even mention this movie overall. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me that's thinking that, but I don't know. It feels like he was wasting his time with that. I don't even know if that lawsuit even went forward. Actually, let me see. I'm curious. Yeah, they settled out of court not but 2 months later. I mean, it basically felt like Faison Love was doing it because he hadn't been... He'd been kind of... I mean, he was still kind of relevant, but... I mean, after this, I mean, he hadn't done a whole lot since then that was actually considered good stuff. I mean, he's been mostly relegated to direct-to-DVD hell in stuff like Bulletproof 2 and, you know, The War with Grandpa, Back on the Strip, The Last Stop in Yuba County, like those type of stuff. So, I felt like he was doing it because nobody really cared about him anymore as a top-leading man, but, not even a top-leading man, but a top comedic actor, but... I mean, it's not his fault. He's not one of the reasons why the movie is not that good. It's just not an enjoyable film. It's a film where, you know, it would have worked probably if you had a better script to work with, but there's just nothing there. And I would have liked to see more Peter Billingsley as a director. He hasn't really directed anything of noteworthiness since then. I think the last thing he directed was Term Life, which was an action drama which starred Vince Vaughn and having this terrible wig. Holy crap. I mean, this is like Bruce Wilson's Surrogate's bad. Take a look for yourself. I mean, Jesus Christ. But you could see him with Haley Steinfeld, and yeah, it didn't do so well, and thus it did terrible with critics, and Peter Billingsley has not done anything on the directing side since then, which is a shame, because I really do feel like he could have done more directing things after Couples Retreat, but after that movie, like, after Term Life, it's just like... Not anymore, so. But, hey, it doesn't matter. He's still getting those residuals from A Christmas Story every year. I mean, TBS plays it, 45 times during the holiday season. He's good. He doesn't need to direct anything anymore. But, Couples Retreat. My overall final thoughts, it's not that great of a movie. I mean, it's a movie where you could see the potential for the comedy, but it just isn't there. It's just kind of a bland comedy, and you expect so much better with the talent involved in here, and it's just like... Yeah, it just doesn't work for me, so anyway, that's a much longer than I was expecting review of Couples Retreat. I mean, good lord, I'm nearing 12 minutes on this. So hopefully I won't spend the next 12 minutes talking about our next movie, which is the Chris Rock documentary, Good Hair.
Award-winning new comedy that Vanity Fair calls hilarious.
Has anybody ever tried to steal your hair?
No.
If you see some black women, just run the other way. What I really wanted to know, if I could make any money selling black hair. Black hair! Would you like to buy some black hair?
They don't want to know that you don't ever cut like this. You make sure the hair straight, look more natural.
So my nappy hair is not worth anything.
Good Hair.
Because when I think of somebody who should be asking black women about their hair, I go to the person who is notoriously known now for the lousy G.I. Jane joke at the Oscars that got him slapped by Will Smith. I mean... Hey, keep his wife's name out of your effing mouth, Chris. But I still have my thoughts on that one. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Good Hair, which, yeah, talk about a weird movie for Chris Rock to be involved in. Because, like I said, if there's one person that I want to hear talk to African American women about how they use their hair, it's Chris Rock. Am I right? Maybe, I don't know. But the film centers on the issue of how African-American women have perceived their hair and historically styled it. The film explores the modern-day styling industry for black women, images of what is considered acceptable and desirable for African-American women's hair in the United States, and their relation to African-American culture. And you also have appearances and interviews from people like Ice-T, Nia Long, Paul Mooney, T-Pain, Raven-Symoné, Maya Angelou, Tracy Thoms, Lauren London, Megan Good, Salt and Pepper, Kerry Washington, Eve, the Reverend Al Sharpton. So they have a lot, there is a lot of people in this movie, and there is kind of something there to it that I really was not expecting from it. I mean, I really went into this kind of blind. I didn't think I was going to get anything out of it per se, but it is a lot better than I think most people would give it credit for. I mean, it's a movie where, I mean, even if you're not into this topic overall, you still get a good sense of what Chris Rock was trying to do. And, like, it's kind of interesting to see him do something a little bit unique and different outside of his norm overall. And he does make it work. He can be a really good interviewer, and it really does work in here as a whole. I thought it was very well done. I thought they did a pretty good job of handling this topic at hand. And yeah, it's a very intriguing film. It's a film that I was not expecting a whole lot from. It just kind of was something where it's just like, yeah, you look at it just like, why would I want to hear Chris Rock talk about women's hair? Black women's hair nonetheless, but they somehow make it work. It's a very captivating film that does overall really work overall as a film that really just kind of leaves you by surprise and how good it actually is. I mean, yeah, it's actually a much better film than I think people give it credit for. I mean, it's a film that kind of came and went, didn't really leave much of a lasting impact as a whole. But, you know, it was something that, honestly, I checked it out after I saw that the Hair Love short that is in front of Angry Birds 2. What was was that what it's called? It was the one that won the Oscar that year for Best Animated Short. I think it was called Hair Love. Yeah, it was called Hair Love. It was the thing done by Matthew Cherry and Bruce Smith, and that won the Oscar for Best Animated Short that year. And it was a really good short. I really went like that. I really liked that short a lot, and it did make me want to go see that movie Good Hair afterwards to see. I don't know. My interest was kind of peaked on that, and that's what this movie kind of does to you. That's what the short kind of did for me, and it's just like, yeah, this actually is very much worth it. I mean, this is a really good documentary for somebody that is not really interested in this type of stuff, but you watch something like Hair Love, and you get kind of invested into it. There is something there that I really wasn't expecting to get from that. So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. That's Good Hair. So let's go ahead and get to the next movie we have here. Carey Mulligan leading an all-star cast in Education.
I've been scared. I didn't want you to be scared.
I suppose you think I'm a ruined woman.
You're not a woman.
Action's character. If we never did anything, we wouldn't be anybody.
You sound very old and wise.
I feel old, but not very wise.
So in the early 1960s, you have a 16-year-old played by Carey Mulligan who lives with her parents in the London suburb of Twickenham. On her father, Jack's wishes, everything that Jenny does is in the sole pursuit of being accepted into Oxford, as he, played by Alfred Molina, wants her to have a better life than him. Jenny is bright, pretty, hard-working, and also naturally gifted. The only problem her father may perceive in her life is her issue with learning Latin, and her dating a boy named Graham, played by Matthew Beard, who is nice but socially awkward. Jenny's life changes after she meets David Goldman, played by Peter Sarsgaard, a man over twice her age. David goes out of his way to show Jenny and her family that his interest in her is not improper and that he wants solely to expose her to cultural activities which she enjoys. Jenny quickly gets accustomed to the life to which David and his constant companions, Danny, played by Dominic Cooper, and Helen, played by Rosamund Pike, have shown her, and Jenny and David's relationship does move on to become a romantic one. However, Jenny slowly learns more about David by association, Danny and Helen, specifically how they make their money. Jenny has to decide if she wants to what she learns about them and leading such a life is worth foregoing her plans of higher education at Oxford. So yeah, I've never really seen this movie before. All I know is that this was the film that got several Oscar nominations, including Carey Mulligan for Best Actress. Nick Hornsby got an Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. He did Fever Pitch, and this also got a Best Picture nomination. But it has a solid cast, you know, Sarsgaard, Alfred Molina, Pike, Dominic Cooper, Emma Thompson, Olivia Williams, and Carey Mulligan, who probably gives a really good breakthrough performance that really made people aware of her existence and how she actually is a really good actress overall. But like I said, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really say if it's any good or not, but it probably is. So anyway, let's get to the last movie we have here. Easily the best movie of the entire week. This movie, An Education, introduced the world to Carey Mulligan. This movie introduced the world to Tom Hardy. Ladies and gentlemen, Bronson. Now, obviously, I had to trim some of that trailer out because there were scenes of nudity, not just from the ladies, but also you see part of one of the more memorable scenes of the movie where, Tom Hardy is fighting all these prison guards covered in oil and completely naked, and that's in this trailer. But Bronson is a fucking amazing movie, man. Tom Hardy stars as Michael Peterson, known from 1987 as Charles Bronson. The film follows the life of this prisoner, considered Britain's most violent criminal, who has been responsible for a dozen or so cases of hostage-taking while incarcerated. And this comes to us from Nicholas Winding Refn, who would later follow this up with not Valhalla Rising, but Drive would become the more notable movie that he made, even though he had done movies before this, the Pusher Trilogy, Fear X, and Bleeder. This was the film that introduced everybody not just to him, but to Tom Hardy. And Tom Hardy steals the show in this movie. He is absolutely incredible. Not just as an actor in here, not just as a character, but as a badass. I mean, he beats the crap out of all these people, and it just works. It just is so well done. The action sequences are incredible. You do really feel for the character as a whole. Yeah, he's a violent sociopath, but you do feel for this guy in a situation. And quite honestly, this has the greatest F-bomb you will ever hear in your life. I mean, this is what you're about to see right here is without a doubt one of, if not the greatest F-bomb in movie history.
Shut your fucking mouth! Shut the fuck up, you cunt! Shut it!
You keep expecting him to play with his nose a little bit here, got your nose, but no, that right there is the reason why I love this movie. That performance alone. He shuts the door. You don't know what the hell is going to happen, and then all he does is just scream at the top of his lungs, "Shut your effing mouth! Shut the fuck up, you!" Obviously, I'm censoring myself here, but I mean, I already said the F word already, but you get the idea. That is the reason why this movie works, because of that performance. I mean, Tom Hardy, he'll later show that he could be really charismatic too with stuff like Inception and other movies later on down the road, but this is a movie that showed that he's a fucking badass, man. I mean, this guy is awesome. The movie is awesome. This is just such a great movie, man. If you have not seen Bronson, see Bronson. You are doing yourself a major, major disservice by not doing so. I mean, if you don't, then Tom Hardy will come at you like this.
Shut your fucking mouth! Shut the fuck up, you cunt!
And on that pleasant little note, we wrap up this episode of Time About the Movies. And next time we meet, we have a lot of notable movies once again. Some films that people like, others really don't like, especially the first film we have here. Spike Jonze's highly polarizing adaptation of Maurice Sendex's Where the Wild Things Are. Some people really love it, some people really hate it. Which end of the spectrum am I on that? Well, you're going to have to tune in tomorrow to find out. But you're also going to hear me talk about Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler starring in Law Abiding Citizen. And we also have the remake of The Stepfather, this time starring Dylan Walsh from Nip Tuck. But also we have Black Dynamite with Michael Jai White and a satire and spoof of 70s exploitation movies. Basically, it's the Naked Gun equivalent to exploitation movies, and it's friggin' amazing. Not so amazing is the last film we have here, a movie that for the longest time I was really going to do a full-on video review for this, because there was such a bizarre history behind this last film here. Ice Cube and Mike Epps starring in Janky Promoters, and I'll delve more into that on the next episode, because yeah, this was something where I was really planning on doing something big for this. I heard about the production problems on how the movie was finished without Ice Cube's involvement, and when I finally watched it a couple years later, it was just like, really, that's it? I mean, I had this plan of doing like a whole video talking about all the problems that this thing had. It just, I'll talk more about it tomorrow. I'm giving you too much to spoil you right now. We're already well past my usual time limit here. That Couples Retreat review really took up more of my time than I thought. But with all of that said, though, thank you guys so much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, check out the previous episode. Check out the playlist as well. Previous episode playlist. I keep doing that, but anyway, do that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. You know what the rest of it. You know, we post videos here every day. Yada yada yada. I'm taking up too much of your time now. I'm gonna get out of here, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, thanks for watching. Take care.